In the turbulent aftermath of the Qin dynasty's collapse, China stood on the brink of chaos. For years, warring factions fought for supremacy over the broken empire, and the fate of the land hung in the balance. Amidst this strife, one man would rise to claim the throne, bringing stability and a new era to China, Liu Bang. But while Liu Bang's military prowess and political vision were crucial to his ascent, there was another figure whose influence shaped the destiny of the Han Dynasty, Lü Zhi. The woman who stood by his side. Through every battle, every sacrifice, and every triumph, Lü Zhi's story is one of resilience, cunning, and power. Born into a family of relatively modest means, she would rise to become the Empress of China, wielding power behind the throne and helping steer the course of history. As the wife of Liu Bang, Lü Zhi was not merely a figurehead, she was a strategic mind, a political advisor, and a key player in the formation of the Han Dynasty. Her support and sacrifices were instrumental in Liu Bang's victory over his rivals, especially his greatest foe, Shang Yu, in the decisive Battle of Gaixia, which ultimately secured his reign. As Liu Bang ascended to the throne and established the Han Dynasty, Lü Zhi's role shifted from that of a supportive wife to a powerful empress. She helped consolidate power, navigate court politics, and safeguard the legacy of the dynasty that would shape China for centuries. Lü Zhi's story, however, is not without complexity. Her journey was marked by intrigue, internal strife, and a fierce determination to protect her family's future. Her ability to navigate the treacherous waters of imperial politics and court intrigue would leave an indelible mark on Chinese history. In this story, we will explore Lü Zhi's early life, her critical role in the rise of Liu Bang, and her lasting influence on the Han Dynasty. From her contributions to Liu Bang's military victories, to her strategic decisions as empress, to the legacy she left behind after her reign, Lü Zhi's life is a testament to the power of loyalty, love, and leadership in an age of war and uncertainty. The tale of Lü Zhi is not just the story of a woman behind a great man, but the story of a powerful force in her own right, one whose influence shaped the course of an empire. Lü Zhi was born into a family of modest means, but her destiny would be anything but ordinary. The world she was born into was one of profound change and turmoil. The Qin dynasty, once the strongest and most unyielding power in China, had crumbled under the weight of its own cruelty and overreach. The empire, though vast, was fragmented and in chaos, its once iron rule now reduced to ashes. Lü Zhi, a young woman in this broken world, would rise not only to help rebuild it but to help lead it. As one of the most powerful women in Chinese history, her early life was marked by the same uncertainties that affected the rest of the empire. Lü Zhi's family was not rich, but they were well respected within their community. They were part of a class of minor officials and landowners who worked the land and kept a relatively low profile in the grand scheme of things. Yet, Lü Zhi's family had one crucial asset: ambition. Her father, though not a powerful man, had dreams of greatness. He recognized that the winds of fortune were changing, and he sought alliances that would carry his daughter to places unimaginable for most women of the time. It was this ambition that brought Lü Zhi into contact with Liu Bang. Liu Bang was, at this point, a lowly district officer with little to his name except for his wit, charm, and the burning desire to see the Qin dynasty fall. He had none of the traditional power that a man of his time might have: no noble lineage, no wealth, and no formal military training. What Liu Bang possessed was a rare quality: the ability to gather and lead men, to inspire loyalty in others where others saw nothing but hardship. Lü Zhi's connection to Liu Bang began when her father, seeking to advance his own fortunes, arranged for her to meet him. It was, on the surface, a political alliance, a marriage between a rising man of ambition and a family that could provide him with the legitimacy he lacked. But it was quickly evident that the relationship between Lü Zhi and Liu Bang was more than just political. It was a partnership that would change the course of Chinese history. In their early years together, Lü Zhi demonstrated a remarkable blend of intelligence, strength, and adaptability. She was more than just a wife in the traditional sense. She was Liu Bang's confidant, his advisor, and, most importantly, his equal. When Liu Bang decided to rebel against the Qin dynasty, Lü Zhi stood beside him, offering counsel and guidance as they navigated the perils of war and uncertainty. She was instrumental in organizing their forces, ensuring that Liu Bang had the support he needed from his allies and from the people. Though she was not a general in the traditional sense, her influence behind the scenes was undeniable. Her early role in Liu Bang's rebellion was not one of direct military action, but one of strategy and organization. In those early years of struggle, the couple worked together tirelessly, building their coalition and gaining supporters who believed in their cause. Lü Zhi helped keep the morale of their followers high, using her intelligence and charm to navigate the often perilous political landscape. She knew that the path ahead would not be easy, that victory would not come quickly or without cost, but she also knew that the cause they were fighting for was just. She had the vision to see the potential in Liu Bang and understood the importance of supporting him in every way she could. As the years passed, Lü Zhi's role in the rebellion became more pronounced, while Liu Bang focused on leading his army and confronting his enemies on the battlefield. Lü Zhi took charge of the logistical side of the revolution. She made sure that their army had the resources it needed to continue its fight: food, supplies, and most importantly, soldiers. Her ability to manage and organize such a large-scale rebellion was extraordinary. Though she was often out of sight, her influence was felt at every turn. During this time, Lü Zhi's personal sacrifice was immense. She often had to leave behind the comforts of a traditional home life to follow Liu Bang from one camp to another. She endured hardships that would have broken many others: the constant movement, the danger of battle, the uncertainty of survival. Yet she never wavered in her commitment to Liu Bang's cause. She knew that his success was their success, and she would not rest until they had achieved their goal of toppling the Qin dynasty. The bond between Lü Zhi and Liu Bang deepened during these years. They were not just husband and wife, they were partners in a cause that transcended their personal desires. They shared the same vision, and together, they weathered every storm. Lü Zhi's strength and determination were evident in everything she did, and Liu Bang came to rely on her more and more as the rebellion gained momentum. As they made their way across the land, building alliances and defeating enemies, Lü Zhi's influence grew. She became a key figure in the movement, one whose words carried weight and whose actions could turn the tide of battle. But as much as she contributed to the rebellion, Lü Zhi remained a woman of quiet strength, not seeking recognition but working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure their victory. In those early years of their partnership, Lü Zhi laid the foundation for her future role as Empress. It was clear to those around her that she was more than just a loyal wife. She was a woman of immense capability. And Liu Bang's success would not have been possible without her. They were not only allies in a political sense, they were a united force, bound by love, ambition, and a shared dream of a new China. Through her early sacrifices, Lü Zhi proved herself to be a woman of extraordinary resilience. She did not simply follow Liu Bang, she shaped the path they would walk together. As the rebellion grew stronger and their enemies weaker, it became clear that Liu Bang and Lü Zhi were destined for greatness, a greatness that would ultimately lead them to the throne. But one that would require more sacrifices, more challenges, and more decisions that would forever alter the course of history. As Liu Bang's forces grew stronger, Lü Zhi's influence within the ranks became undeniable. She was not a traditional woman of the time. She had no interest in merely standing by her husband's side as a silent observer. Her mind was sharp, and she understood that in order to ensure Liu Bang's success, she needed to make her own contributions to the cause. While Liu Bang led the army in battle, Lü Zhi organized their resources, negotiated with allies, and kept the rebellion's momentum alive. She demonstrated a rare combination of political savvy and practical leadership that was far beyond the expectations of a woman in her era. In one particularly critical moment, when Liu Bang faced a significant shortage of provisions, Lü Zhi came up with a daring plan. She sent a trusted messenger to secure a crucial alliance with a neighboring kingdom, leveraging the region's economic resources in exchange for military support. It was a risky move, one that could have backfired and jeopardized their entire campaign. But Lü Zhi knew the stakes. The success of her negotiation kept their army fed and strong, and it cemented her role as a key strategist in the rebellion. While the political landscape of the rebellion was ever shifting, Lü Zhi's personal commitment never wavered. She had a deep understanding of the inner workings of her husband's mind, and she often offered him counsel that he would come to rely on. She knew that while Liu Bang had the charisma and the military genius to inspire loyalty in others, he often lacked the patience to manage the delicate intricacies of court politics. Lü Zhi, however, thrived in these environments. She was a tactician in her own right, not just in military matters but in the subtle art of building relationships and securing loyalty from the nobility. Though many people in the rebellion saw her as merely a supportive wife, Lü Zhi's role was far more intricate. Her sharp political instincts were invaluable, especially in dealing with Liu Bang's rivals and potential threats within their ranks. One of the most crucial moments of her influence came when a faction of Liu Bang's men began questioning his leadership, doubting his ability to defeat Xiang Yu, who had been a formidable opponent in the early stages of the rebellion. Liu Bang's forces were divided, and morale was beginning to falter. In the face of this challenge, Lü Zhi took matters into her own hands. She subtly encouraged key figures within the army to rally behind Liu Bang and convince the others that their leader's vision was the right one. Her efforts were not overt or forceful, rather, they were calculated and intelligent. Through quiet persuasion and behind-the-scenes maneuvering, she turned the tide of this internal conflict, ensuring that Liu Bang's leadership remained unquestioned. Her ability to navigate the complexities of loyalty and factionalism within her own army was one of the reasons Liu Bang's forces stayed united during the most difficult phases of their struggle. As Liu Bang's military successes continued to mount, so too did Lü Zhi's importance. Her name was whispered not only among the ranks of their forces but also in the halls of power across the empire. Lü Zhi, once a simple woman from a minor family, was now seen as an indispensable part of Liu Bang's success, a woman whose quiet strength, intellect, and resourcefulness had played an undeniable role in securing their victory. It was during this time that Lü Zhi also demonstrated her ability to manage her personal relationships with others in the rebellion. She knew that securing loyalty from key figures, such as Zhang Liang and Xiao He, was as important as winning battles on the field. Lü Zhi's diplomatic skills were unparalleled, and she used them to build strong alliances with influential men who would later become integral parts of Liu Bang's administration. Her approach was never one of coercion or manipulation, rather, she relied on trust, respect, and the understanding that every person's ambitions could be aligned with Liu Bang's. As the rebellion pressed on, Lü Zhi's relationship with her husband deepened, both personally and professionally. Their bond was a partnership in every sense of the word. While Liu Bang led the charge on the battlefield, Lü Zhi remained firmly by his side, making crucial decisions that would influence the trajectory of their rebellion. There were few who could match her intellect and resolve, and even fewer who could fully understand the depths of her commitment. Yet, as much as Lü Zhi's strength was an asset to Liu Bang, it was also a source of tension. Her sharp mind and willingness to step into the political arena often clashed with traditional expectations of a woman's role. In the early stages of their partnership, there were whispers in the court that Lü Zhi was too powerful, too influential, and too involved in the day-to-day decisions of the rebellion. But Liu Bang, for all his faults and imperfections, recognized the value of Lü Zhi's contributions. He trusted her completely and relied on her counsel more than anyone else. It was a relationship built on mutual respect and shared ambition. Throughout the rebellion, Lü Zhi's actions spoke louder than any words could. Her intelligence, her quiet leadership, and her unwavering loyalty to Liu Bang formed the foundation of their success. She was more than just a political partner. She was the pillar that held up the rebellion during its darkest days. Without her, Liu Bang's path to the throne might have been a much more difficult one. And as they pressed forward toward their ultimate goal, the fall of the Qin dynasty and the establishment of the Han, Lü Zhi was there, at the heart of it all, ensuring that every step they took brought them closer to their dream of a new China. The early years of Lü Zhi's life alongside Liu Bang were not just about supporting her husband, they were about shaping the very future of the Han Dynasty. Her strength, her intellect, and her unshakable resolve would continue to influence Liu Bang's decisions for years to come. And as the rebellion began to shift in their favor, Lü Zhi would find herself standing at the crossroads of history, her legacy already beginning to take shape. The years following the initial spark of rebellion were crucial in determining the future of Liu Bang and Lü Zhi, and together they would navigate through battles, betrayals, and shifting alliances that would ultimately lead to the rise of the Han Dynasty. Liu Bang's path to becoming emperor was not one of quick victory but of a relentless struggle marked by challenges both on and off the battlefield. While Liu Bang fought for supremacy, Lü Zhi worked tirelessly behind the scenes, ensuring that every step was calculated, every decision carefully weighed. After the fall of the Qin dynasty in 206 BCE, the power vacuum created a dangerous, uncertain political environment. The chaos following the Qin's collapse meant that every warlord and rebel leader was vying for control of the empire. One such leader, Xiong Yu, a fierce and capable general, had already seized the majority of the territories once controlled by the Qin, positioning himself as the dominant force in China. Yet, it was Liu Bang's leadership, and Lü Zhi's unwavering support, that set them apart from the other factions. Xiong Yu, a man of immense military skill, was perceived as the stronger contender. He had earned the loyalty of many in the Eastern territories, and his army, though brutal, was feared across the land. Despite this, Liu Bang and Lü Zhi's forces continued to rise in prominence, thanks in large part to their ability to build lasting relationships with other powerful leaders and local rulers. While Xiong Yu's alliances were often built on coercion, Liu Bang's were founded on mutual respect and shared goals, a strategy Lü Zhi had orchestrated and nurtured. Lü Zhi's political intelligence was key to these alliances. As Liu Bang focused on military strategy, Lü Zhi handled the diplomacy, using her social acumen to secure the loyalty of those whose support Liu Bang needed to achieve his goal of becoming the unifier of China. One of the most important of these alliances was with Zhang Liang, a former strategist under the Qin regime, and Xiao He, a trusted and loyal aide. These men, who had once been high-ranking officials in the Qin dynasty, now rallied behind Liu Bang, understanding that his leadership could offer them more than mere survival. It could restore peace and stability to a fractured empire. But it wasn't just the alliances with former officials that strengthened Liu Bang's position. Lü Zhi understood that controlling the hearts and minds of the people was just as vital. Her ability to manage and organize people, from the lower ranks of the rebellion to the highest leaders, was unmatched. She saw the value in treating the common folk with respect, a stark contrast to the arrogance often displayed by their rivals. Liu Bang's early campaigns were characterized by his ability to win the hearts of the people. But Lü Zhi's guidance ensured that his victory would be more than a fleeting moment. It would be a movement. As the rebellion progressed, Lü Zhi's influence became increasingly apparent, even in military matters. Though she did not wield a sword in battle, her tactical mind worked in the shadows, providing Liu Bang with critical insights and decisions that often made the difference between victory and defeat. During a particularly difficult period when Liu Bang faced several defeats at the hands of Xiong Yu's forces, Lü Zhi played a pivotal role in turning the tide. Rather than letting these losses diminish the morale of their followers, she arranged a series of strategic retreats that allowed their forces to regroup and rearm. Her keen understanding of the ebb and flow of war kept Liu Bang's forces from crumbling. One of the most significant turning points in Liu Bang's rise came during the Battle of Gaixia, a decisive confrontation between Liu Bang and Xiong Yu. Xiong Yu, who had previously crushed most of Liu Bang's forces, was now closing in on the final stretch of the war, with his army positioned for a final, crushing blow. It seemed that Liu Bang's rebellion might end in failure. But Lü Zhi, always the strategist, saw an opportunity where others saw despair. Lü Zhi worked tirelessly behind the scenes, communicating with their allies and ensuring that Liu Bang's forces were well positioned to exploit Xiong Yu's weaknesses. She helped to coordinate the movements of the armies, ensuring that each of Liu Bang's generals knew their role. When Xiong Yu's forces were caught off guard by a sudden shift in the battlefield, Liu Bang was able to seize the moment, trapping his rival in a pincer movement. The victory was significant, not just for its military success but for its symbolic importance. Liu Bang had finally defeated Xiong Yu, his greatest adversary, and had secured his claim to the throne. However, Lü Zhi's work was far from over. While Liu Bang had won the battle, the political landscape was still volatile. Many of the regions under Shan Yu's control had already fallen to other rebel leaders. And it was crucial that Liu Bang maintain the alliances he had forged and gain the loyalty of the remaining factions. Lü Zhi's ability to forge these alliances continued to be the glue that held Liu Bang's victory together. It was in these post-war years that Lü Zhi's political acumen shone brightest. While Liu Bang dealt with the logistics of ruling over an empire on the brink of reconstruction, Lü Zhi played a key role in consolidating power within their newly formed court. She navigated the complex relationships between the various power players, ensuring that Liu Bang's rule remained unchallenged. She knew that the Han Dynasty would not be built on the back of a single victory, but on the careful management of the forces that would shape its future. As Liu Bang ascended to the throne, Lü Zhi's role in his rise was solidified. She had been his partner in every sense of the word, and her actions ensured that the Han Dynasty would survive long enough to flourish. She was not simply the wife of an emperor, she was the political strategist who had helped him navigate the tumultuous waters of rebellion and war. Her intelligence, her ability to understand the dynamics of power, and her unshakable loyalty were the bedrock upon which Liu Bang's reign was built. But as Liu Bang began to take his place as the ruler of China, Lü Zhi also faced new challenges. While she had secured Liu Bang's victory, she now had to contend with the complexities of governing a vast and diverse empire. She would need to continue using her talents in diplomacy and strategy to ensure that the Han Dynasty remained stable in the years to come. Yet, despite the new responsibilities that came with being the Empress, Lü Zhi would never forget her roots, the rebellion that had brought them to this moment, and the partnership with Liu Bang that had defined her life. Lü Zhi had risen from a woman of modest means to become one of the most powerful figures in Chinese history. Her intelligence, her loyalty, and her strength had shaped the rise of the Han Dynasty, and it was her legacy that would continue to guide the course of the empire in the years to come. While Liu Bang would be remembered as the first emperor of the Han, Lü Zhi would forever be recognized as the woman who helped him get there. The path to the throne was never smooth for Liu Bang, and though he had secured a decisive victory over Shan Yu at Gaixia, the struggle was far from over. The war for supremacy had already been long and brutal, and the battle for control of China's future would require even more than just military victories. It would require unwavering loyalty, brilliant strategy, and a deft hand in managing both allies and enemies alike. It was at this critical juncture that Lü Zhi's role in the conflict became even more vital. Shan Yu, though defeated, was not entirely broken. His fierce and resilient spirit made him a continued threat to Liu Bang's plans. And even in his retreat, he still commanded respect and loyalty from many of his followers. For Liu Bang, the defeat of Shan Yu was only the first step toward unifying the fragmented empire. The war was still ongoing, and many former allies of Shan Yu and rebel factions remained hostile. This period after Gaixia would be one of political and military consolidation, and Lü Zhi would play an indispensable role in this stage of the rebellion. After the victory at Gaixia, Liu Bang's first challenge was dealing with the territories that had been previously controlled by Shan Yu's forces. While Shan Yu's defeat weakened his influence, remnants of his supporters still held large swaths of territory, and many of the local rulers who had allied with him were unwilling to submit to Liu Bang's authority. It was here that Lü Zhi's role as a political strategist and negotiator would be tested like never before. In a move that demonstrated her understanding of both the military and political landscapes, Lü Zhi took charge of negotiating with the rulers of these territories. She realized that direct military confrontation would only prolong the suffering of the people and strain their already weakened resources. Instead, she adopted a strategy of diplomacy, offering leniency and autonomy to the regions that surrendered peacefully while also making it clear that any defiance would be met with swift and merciless retribution. Lü Zhi understood that it was important to strike a balance. Her approach was one of both firmness and pragmatism. Knowing when to offer compromise and when to demand complete submission, Lü Zhi's diplomatic efforts were crucial in securing the loyalty of these regions. While Liu Bang was still embroiled in securing his position as a leader of the Han, Lü Zhi's words carried weight in the courts of former adversaries. Many of the defeated factions began to see that aligning with Liu Bang was not just a strategic move, It was a chance for stability and prosperity in a war-torn empire. Her ability to connect with these leaders, combined with her calm demeanor and sharp political insight, won her many allies. Yet, even as Lü Zhi worked tirelessly to consolidate power, the battle was not over. The ongoing struggle between Liu Bang and Xiong Yu's forces meant that Liu Bang still had to rely on his military prowess to secure his rule. The Han army, while victorious in key battles, was far from invincible. Liu Bang's forces had to be constantly vigilant, for Xiong Yu's loyal generals continued to harry them, seeking to take advantage of any perceived weakness. During one particularly tense period, when Liu Bang's forces were vulnerable, Lü Zhi once again demonstrated her remarkable political skill. As the armies gathered for a decisive engagement, Lü Zhi used her diplomatic channels to send word to several of Xiong Yu's former generals, offering them terms of peace and integration into Liu Bang's administration. She played a delicate game, appealing to their desires for power and survival, ensuring that they saw benefit in aligning themselves with Liu Bang rather than continuing their support for the vanquished Xiong Yu. Lü Zhi's subtlety in these negotiations prevented a potential uprising and diverted forces that could have been disastrous for Liu Bang. Her role was not limited to the field of diplomacy. However, Lü Zhi had long been a strategic mind behind the scenes, and she continued to shape the political landscape of the Han Dynasty. She knew that the greatest threat to Liu Bang's rule was not external forces, but internal dissension. The early years of the Han Dynasty were plagued by power struggles. As various factions within Liu Bang's court vied for influence, many of these factions were made up of military leaders and noble families. And while they had supported Liu Bang in his rise, they did so out of self-interest, not loyalty. Lü Zhi recognized that the court would need to be carefully managed if Liu Bang's rule was to last. The challenges she faced were immense. She had to navigate the ambitions of powerful men, while also ensuring that Liu Bang's authority was not undermined by internal strife. She did this with a deft hand, manipulating the political rivalries in the court to Liu Bang's advantage. Where Liu Bang was known for his decisive, sometimes impulsive actions, Lü Zhi was a master of patience and subtlety. She carefully built alliances within the court, consolidating support for Liu Bang while neutralizing those who might pose a threat. Lü Zhi's role as a political force was not only felt within the court but extended to the military as well. With Liu Bang constantly in the field, it was Lü Zhi who ensured that the empire's military strength remained unbroken. She orchestrated the supply lines and ensured that soldiers remained loyal, keeping them supplied and motivated. It was a monumental task, yet Lü Zhi handled it with the same determination that had marked her from the very beginning. She never allowed her husband's forces to falter, even in the most difficult of circumstances. Her political acumen also extended to the management of the people. Lü Zhi understood that the Han Dynasty could not survive without the support of the common people, who had suffered immensely under both the Qin dynasty and the early years of rebellion. As Liu Bang began to solidify his rule, Lü Zhi worked tirelessly to ensure that the populace saw the Han as their protectors, offering clemency and stability to those who had been caught in the turmoil of war. She saw to it that the land was once again cultivated and that the people were given the resources they needed to rebuild. Despite the immense challenges they faced, Lü Zhi never lost sight of the ultimate goal: the establishment of a strong and lasting Han dynasty. She knew that their victory was not the end, but only the beginning. The work of building a stable empire would take years of careful governance, diplomacy, and military strength, and it was her quiet, but powerful, role in the background that would ensure the Han dynasty's success for generations to come. With Xiong Yu's forces defeated and the remaining pockets of resistance dwindling, Lü Zhi and Liu Bang could finally begin the process of healing the fractured empire. Their efforts to consolidate power, both through military victories and political maneuvering, had paved the way for the rise of the Han dynasty, and Lü Zhi's influence would continue to resonate throughout its early years. She had proven time and again that her strength was not just in her ability to support Liu Bang, but in her own right as a political strategist, a diplomat, and a leader. In the years to come, Lü Zhi's position would become even more solidified, as her loyalty and intelligence would continue to guide Liu Bang's reign. But the seeds of what would eventually become the Han Dynasty's future were sown in the difficult years following the victory over Shan Yu. And it was Lü Zhi's unflinching dedication, both to her husband and to the future of their empire, that ensured the success of the Han Dynasty in its earliest days. The victory over Shan Yu was only the beginning. While Liu Bang had triumphed in battle, the task of unifying China and consolidating his power was far from over. As Liu Bang stood on the cusp of assuming control over a vast and fractured empire, the weight of his new responsibilities began to settle upon him. Yet, he was not alone. Lü Zhi remained by his side. Her influence as pivotal as ever in shaping the future of the empire they had fought so hard to build. The transition from rebellion to governance would be one of the most challenging periods of Liu Bang's life. The political landscape was still chaotic, and rival factions remained loyal to their former leaders. Many of the local warlords and noble families had only reluctantly accepted Liu Bang's rise to power, and they saw little reason to bend to his will. It was in this turbulent period that Lü Zhi's political skill was most crucial. She understood that in order to ensure Liu Bang's position, she needed to help him build a strong foundation of power, not just through military victories, but through political maneuvering and diplomacy. Liu Bang's formal declaration as Emperor of the Han was a moment of immense significance. But it was also a moment fraught with potential danger. The imperial court was divided, and the very idea of one man ruling over the entire empire was met with resistance from those who had once supported Shan Yu or the Qin dynasty. For many, Liu Bang was a mere upstart, a rebel who had risen from humble beginnings to claim a throne that belonged to the ancient aristocracy. The struggle for legitimacy, both within the court and among the people, was intense. Lü Zhi, ever the pragmatist, knew that the success of the new dynasty would depend on the cooperation of the most powerful men in China. Her first task was to secure the loyalty of the military generals who had helped Liu Bang achieve victory, many of whom now sought a larger share of power. Men like Zhang Liang, Xiao He, and Han Xin had proven themselves invaluable in the war. But their loyalty was not guaranteed. Lü Zhi, with her deep understanding of human nature, began to maneuver within the court, offering positions of power to those whose support was essential to Liu Bang's consolidation of control. She knew that loyalty could be bought, but it could also be secured through careful and shrewd political gifts. While Liu Bang focused on establishing his rule, Lü Zhi became the unofficial power broker behind the throne. She used her influence to mediate between the various factions, ensuring that each side received a fair share of power in exchange for loyalty. Her deft hand in these negotiations was not only instrumental in keeping the peace within the court but also in ensuring that Liu Bang's power remained unchallenged. Yet, despite Lü Zhi's deft diplomacy, Liu Bang faced mounting internal challenges. As the new emperor of the Han, Liu Bang had to manage a delicate balance between ruling with absolute authority and ensuring that his power did not alienate the various factions he had brought together. Though Lü Zhi was indispensable to his success, her role was largely unseen by the public. She remained behind the scenes, directing the political maneuvering that kept Liu Bang's empire intact. During this period of consolidation, Lü Zhi's presence was felt most acutely when she and Liu Bang had to confront the issue of succession. The future of the Han Dynasty rested on the shoulders of their children. And Lü Zhi, as a mother and a strategist, knew that ensuring the right heir to the throne was a matter of utmost importance. Liu Bang, like many men in power, had many wives and concubines, but Lü Zhi was the one who held his heart and his trust. She was his partner not only in governance but in the personal matter of securing the future of their empire. At the time, Liu Bang had several sons, but his firstborn son, Liu Ying, seemed the most likely to inherit the throne. Lü Zhi, understanding the importance of securing her son's place as successor, took every step necessary to ensure that he would be the chosen heir. This political maneuvering would have far-reaching consequences in the years to come. Lü Zhi's relationship with Liu Ying was one of protection and preparation. She knew that the position of emperor was fraught with danger, and she worked tirelessly to ensure that her son was groomed to take on the mantle of leadership. But Lü Zhi's ambitions did not stop with the future of her own family. As Liu Bang began to lay the groundwork for the empire's bureaucratic system, Lü Zhi continued to be a steady and intelligent influence. She understood the complexities of governance, that it was not enough to rule with military strength alone. Stability came from the effective management of people, from building a system of laws, and from ensuring that the resources of the empire were managed properly. Her sharp mind helped Liu Bang craft a system of governance that was fair and efficient, with an emphasis on restoring the fractured agricultural economy. One of Lü Zhi's key contributions was her support for the development of a strong civil service. While Liu Bang relied heavily on military commanders to maintain order, Lü Zhi recognized that a stable empire needed to be supported by a well-organized bureaucracy. With her guidance, Liu Bang began to implement reforms that would later define the Han Dynasty, reforms that promoted merit-based appointments and gave local officials more authority to govern their regions effectively. While Liu Bang's reign was marked by military expansion and consolidation, it was also a period of significant reform. Lü Zhi was there every step of the way, ensuring that each decision was made with the long-term health of the empire in mind. Together, Liu Bang and Lü Zhi navigated the tumultuous early years of the Han Dynasty, building a foundation that would last for centuries. Despite her central role in these achievements, Lü Zhi's power was not without its challenges. There were still those within the court who resented her influence, and her role as a woman in a male-dominated political landscape made her a target for those who sought to diminish her power. Some nobles and military leaders saw Lü Zhi as a threat to their own ambitions and sought to undermine her authority. But Lü Zhi, ever perceptive, countered these threats with grace and strategic thinking. She knew how to play the game of power, and she used her influence to protect herself and her family, ensuring that the Han Dynasty's power remained firmly in their grasp. The ascension of Liu Bang to emperor was not just the rise of a man, but the rise of a dynasty that would shape China for over 4 centuries. As Liu Bang took the throne and established the Han Dynasty, Lü Zhi's legacy began to take form, one that would continue to influence the direction of the empire long after Liu Bang's death. In the court of the Han, Lü Zhi had proven herself not just as a wife and mother, but as a political force in her own right. Her unwavering loyalty to Liu Bang, combined with her unparalleled political instincts, had played a pivotal role in securing their victory and ensuring the survival of the dynasty. As Liu Bang looked to the future, he knew that Lü Zhi would continue to be his closest ally, and together, they would lay the foundations for the great empire of the Han. The early years of the Han Dynasty were defined by both triumphs and tribulations. But as Liu Bang solidified his position as emperor, Lü Zhi's role as empress became more important than ever. As the power behind the throne, she had not only secured Liu Bang's rise to power, but she now had the daunting responsibility of helping to build a stable and prosperous empire. The empire she and Liu Bang had fought so hard to establish was far from secure. And it was Lü Zhi's leadership, intelligence, and political skill that would shape the course of the Han Dynasty during its most formative years. As empress, Lü Zhi's position was both powerful and precarious. She had proven herself as an indispensable ally to Liu Bang, but her influence did not go unnoticed. The court, a nest of intrigue and ambition, was full of rivals who sought to undermine her power. Lü Zhi was not only a woman in a male-dominated world, but she was also a woman who had risen to prominence through her own intellect, her political maneuvering, and her support for her husband's cause. For many of the nobles, military leaders, and even some of Liu Bang's closest advisors, this was a threat to the traditional power structure. Despite these challenges, Lü Zhi navigated the treacherous waters of the imperial court with grace and subtlety. Her position as empress was a significant one, but it came with expectations, not just of loyalty to her husband, but of governance. She was not content to simply remain in the background as a ceremonial figurehead. She had already demonstrated that she was capable of much more. Under her guidance, the early years of the Han Dynasty saw significant changes to the way the empire was governed. Lü Zhi's influence was felt not just in the court, but also in the broader political structure of the empire. She helped to ensure that the reforms Liu Bang had initiated were carried out effectively. And her strategic vision helped lay the groundwork for many of the institutions that would define the Han Dynasty for centuries to come. Lü Zhi understood the importance of securing the loyalty of both the military and the nobility. While Liu Bang's military victories had won him the throne, it was Lü Zhi's political expertise that ensured the stability of his rule. She worked tirelessly behind the scenes to mediate between competing factions, keeping the peace in the court and ensuring that Liu Bang's authority remained unchallenged. Though Liu Bang's rule was still young, Lü Zhi's ability to balance the interests of the empire's powerful factions would become one of the key elements of her legacy. One of the most significant challenges Lü Zhi faced as empress was the question of succession. Liu Bang had many wives and concubines, but Lü Zhi's son, Liu Yang, was the one she hoped would succeed Liu Bang as emperor. Lü Zhi was determined to ensure that her son would inherit the throne. But this was far from certain. The court was filled with potential rivals, and many of Liu Bang's other wives had sons who were also vying for power. Lü Zhi's political acumen became critical in securing her son's position as the heir to the Han throne. To solidify her son's claim, Lü Zhi worked relentlessly within the court to sway the key figures who would play a role in the selection of the next emperor. She used her influence over Liu Bang, as well as her relationships with the other power players in the court, to ensure that Liu Ying's succession was guaranteed. While Liu Bang remained the ultimate decision-maker, Lü Zhi's efforts played a decisive role in shaping the imperial succession. But the path to securing Liu Ying's position was fraught with tension. Lü Zhi's rivals, particularly other women in Liu Bang's harem, sought to advance their own sons, and the court was filled with factions that hoped to wrest control away from Lü Zhi's family. Her rivalry with other consorts, some of whom were powerful in their own right, became one of the defining features of her reign as empress. Lü Zhi had to manage these tensions delicately, ensuring that no faction gained too much power and that her son's claim to the throne was not jeopardized. One of the most difficult moments came when Liu Bang's relationship with his other consorts became strained. While Liu Bang trusted Lü Zhi, his affection for other women in the palace was not easily overlooked. Lü Zhi's ability to maintain control over the imperial court while managing her own personal rivalry with these women was a testament to her political skill. She never allowed herself to be outmaneuvered by those who sought to undermine her. Her calm, composed demeanor helped keep the situation from escalating into outright conflict, and her influence over Liu Bang remained as strong as ever. Lü Zhi also understood the importance of public perception. She was not just empress in name, she had to earn the respect and loyalty of the people. The Han Dynasty had to be seen as legitimate not just in the eyes of the nobility but in the hearts of the common people. Lü Zhi worked tirelessly to ensure that the imperial family was viewed as benevolent rulers. She understood that stability in the empire required the goodwill of the people, and she took steps to ensure that they were treated with respect. Though Liu Bang remained the face of the Han Dynasty, it was Lü Zhi's steady influence that helped maintain order within the court and the empire. While Liu Bang was often preoccupied with military matters and the management of the vast empire, Lü Zhi was there to handle the intricate and delicate work of court politics. Her tireless work behind the scenes ensured that Liu Bang's rule was not undermined by factionalism or dissent. Her position as empress, however, was not without its dangers. The palace intrigue, the court politics, and the ambitions of her rivals all presented threats to her power. Lü Zhi, though, had already proven that she was more than capable of handling such challenges. She continued to outmaneuver those who sought to weaken her position and managed to maintain control over her rivals through a combination of cunning, persuasion, and strategic alliances. Lü Zhi's reign as empress was one of quiet but profound influence. While Liu Bang's military successes were celebrated across the empire, it was Lü Zhi's steady leadership and political acumen that ensured the survival of the Han Dynasty in its early years. Her legacy, though often overshadowed by the more visible achievements of her husband, would be felt for generations to come. As empress, Lü Zhi helped build the foundations of the Han Dynasty that would endure for over 4 centuries. She laid the groundwork for a stable government, secured the succession of her son Liu Ying, and played a key role in managing the diverse and complex interests of the Han court. Though her name is not as well remembered as that of Liu Bang, Lü Zhi's influence on the early years of the Han Dynasty was immeasurable. Her political skill, wisdom, And unwavering loyalty to her family and her empire ensured that the Han Dynasty would thrive for generations to come. The years following Liu Bang's ascension to the throne were critical not only for the consolidation of power but also for the long-term stability of the empire. While Liu Bang was often engaged in the more visible aspects of governance, handling military matters, diplomatic relations, and the formation of alliances, Lü Zhi worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that the new dynasty would be built on a firm political foundation. She understood that the Han Dynasty would not survive solely on the basis of military victories; it needed a strong, efficient political system that could manage the vast and diverse territories of China. Lü Zhi was deeply involved in shaping the Han political structure, a task that required both vision and practical expertise. One of her primary focuses was to streamline the bureaucracy and ensure that governance could be handled efficiently across the empire. Under the Qin dynasty, China had been governed with harsh and centralized policies, with local officials having little autonomy. Lü Zhi, however, knew that a more balanced approach was necessary. She worked alongside Liu Bang and the key officials of the new dynasty to establish a more decentralized system, allowing local rulers greater autonomy while still ensuring loyalty to the central government. This political reform was one of the most significant steps in the formation of the Han Dynasty. Lü Zhi understood that decentralization could be both a strength and a vulnerability. On one hand, it allowed local leaders to address the needs of their own people more effectively, ensuring a more stable and prosperous empire. On the other hand, it also created the risk of rebellion and insurrection if these local leaders felt their power was not sufficiently checked. Lü Zhi worked hard to strike a delicate balance, ensuring that local rulers were given enough freedom to govern their territories, while also putting systems in place to monitor their actions and prevent them from becoming too powerful. To further strengthen the political system, Lü Zhi and Liu Bang made significant reforms to the civil service. They recognized that a skilled and loyal bureaucracy would be essential to running the vast empire efficiently. Under their direction, merit-based appointments became the foundation of the civil service, replacing the old system of hereditary positions. Lü Zhi played a crucial role in selecting and promoting officials who demonstrated competence and loyalty to the Han cause. This policy helped ensure that the government was staffed with capable individuals who were invested in the long-term success of the dynasty, rather than individuals seeking to advance their own personal interests. But the establishment of the Han bureaucracy was not without its challenges. The early years of the dynasty were marked by intense competition between various factions, and many of the new officials were eager to prove their loyalty to the emperor. Lü Zhi knew that these officials would need to be carefully managed and monitored to prevent corruption and ensure that they did not abuse their newfound power. She worked with Liu Bang to create a system of checks and balances within the government, one that allowed for oversight of local leaders and bureaucrats, while also providing them with the tools they needed to carry out their duties effectively. Lü Zhi's influence was not confined to the political system alone. She was also instrumental in shaping the economic policies of the Han Dynasty. After years of war, the empire's economy was in tatters, and one of the first tasks of the new government was to stabilize the economy and promote growth. Lü Zhi understood that in order for the empire to thrive, it needed to have a strong and sustainable agricultural base. She worked alongside Liu Bang to implement policies that would encourage the cultivation of farmland, the construction of irrigation systems, and the improvement of trade routes. One of Lü Zhi's most notable economic reforms was the introduction of land redistribution. She and Liu Bang implemented a system that redistributed land to the peasants, ensuring that the common people had access to the resources they needed to support themselves. This policy not only improved the lives of the peasants but also helped stabilize the empire's agricultural economy. Lü Zhi's vision of a more equitable society helped garner the support of the people, who saw the Han Dynasty as a fair and just ruler. In addition to agricultural reforms, Lü Zhi also played a role in developing the empire's infrastructure. She understood that in order to sustain the Han Dynasty's military and economic power, the empire needed a strong network of roads, bridges, and communication systems. Under her guidance, efforts were made to improve transportation throughout the empire, making it easier for troops, merchants, and officials to travel and communicate. This infrastructure development also facilitated trade, which would become a vital component of the Han economy. While Lü Zhi worked tirelessly to establish the political and economic framework for the Han Dynasty, she also had to contend with challenges from within the imperial court. As the Empress, she was not only the wife of Liu Bang but also a powerful political figure in her own right. Her influence within the court was vast, but it also made her a target for those who sought to undermine her power. The Han court, like many courts before and after, was a place of intrigue, where ambitious men and women plotted to gain power and influence. Lü Zhi's role in the court was essential in maintaining the stability of the dynasty. She worked tirelessly to ensure that Liu Bang's rule was not threatened by internal conflicts or power struggles. Her political acumen allowed her to navigate the delicate relationships between the various factions within the court. And she used her position to promote her allies and neutralize those who posed a threat to her family's rule. She also worked to ensure that her son, Liu Yang, would inherit the throne, navigating the complex web of rivalries and ambitions within the imperial family. Despite the pressures she faced, Lü Zhi's leadership helped keep the Han Dynasty strong during its early years. Her work in shaping the political and economic landscape of the empire laid the foundation for the Han Dynasty's success. She was not just a passive figure in the court, she was an active and powerful force, guiding the future of China with intelligence, foresight, and an unshakable loyalty to her family and her empire. In the decades that followed, the Han Dynasty would grow into one of the most powerful and prosperous empires in Chinese history. And though much of the credit for this success would go to Liu Bang and his military victories, Lü Zhi's contributions to the empire's political stability, economic prosperity, and institutional development were no less important. She had helped lay the groundwork for the Han Dynasty's success, and her legacy would continue to shape the empire long after her time. The relationship between Lü Zhi and Liu Bang was one built on more than just political alliance or love. It was a partnership of mutual respect and shared ambition. While Liu Bang had the charisma and the military genius to inspire loyalty and led armies, Lü Zhi possessed the intellect, patience, and political savvy that complemented his style. Together, they had risen from humble beginnings to the pinnacle of power, and their bond had been a critical element of the Han Dynasty's establishment. However, as Liu Bang's reign continued, the strains of ruling a vast empire, combined with the pressures of court politics, began to take a toll on their relationship. Despite Lü Zhi's remarkable achievements in helping to stabilize and consolidate the empire, she faced increasing challenges in her personal life as the dynamics of the court shifted. Liu Bang, while deeply devoted to her, was also a man with many desires. As emperor, he took multiple wives and concubines, each vying for a position of power and influence. This was not unusual for a ruler of his time, but it created an atmosphere of tension within the imperial palace. Lü Zhi's status as the Empress, the mother of the rightful heir to the throne, placed her in a delicate position. Though Liu Bang had initially shown a strong preference for Lü Zhi, his attention inevitably shifted to other women, and this caused Lü Zhi much emotional and political strain. Despite the tension between them, Lü Zhi never wavered in her commitment to Liu Bang and the empire they had built. She understood the necessity of navigating the intricacies of the court to maintain her influence and secure her family's future. Lü Zhi's relationship with Liu Bang was further complicated by the ambitions of the other women in the palace. Some of Liu Bang's concubines, particularly the mother of Liu Bang's second son, sought to challenge Lü Zhi's position. As the Empress, Lü Zhi was well aware that these rivalries could undermine her son's claim to the throne. And so, she worked tirelessly, both publicly and behind the scenes, to secure her son Liu Ying's succession to the throne. It was a task that required both political maneuvering and a great deal of personal sacrifice. Throughout the early years of their marriage, Lü Zhi had stood by Liu Bang through countless battles, rebellions, and political turmoil. Yet, as the power dynamics within the palace began to shift, Lü Zhi was forced to confront a new challenge: her husband's growing affection for other women. While Liu Bang still relied on Lü Zhi's advice and loyalty, his other relationships threatened to destabilize the court. Lü Zhi, however, had always been a woman of remarkable strength and resilience. She never allowed herself to be pushed aside, and she fought to maintain her position within the court, both as Liu Bang's most trusted advisor and as the mother of the heir. Her ability to adapt to this changing environment was one of the reasons Liu Bang's reign remained stable despite the potential for upheaval. Lü Zhi's political instincts were sharp, and she never let personal feelings interfere with the larger goal of securing her family's position and the future of the Han Dynasty. She understood that the court was a place where rivalries, both personal and political, ran deep, and she used her influence to neutralize potential threats to her son's succession. The emotional toll on Lü Zhi was immense. Despite her political genius, she was still a woman who loved her husband deeply, and the presence of Liu Bang's other women in the palace was a source of personal pain. Yet she endured, knowing that her greater duty lay in securing the stability of the empire and ensuring the legacy of the Han Dynasty. Her commitment to Liu Bang, even during times of emotional turmoil, was unwavering. She understood that her role as Empress required more than just personal sacrifice, it required a deep understanding of the politics of power. And she had mastered that art. Despite the personal challenges Lü Zhi faced, she continued to play an active role in governing the empire. As Liu Bang grew older and increasingly focused on managing the vast empire, he relied even more on Lü Zhi's counsel. Her political influence in the court only grew as the years went by, and she became the glue that held the court together during moments of instability. She knew that the strength of the Han Dynasty would depend not only on the military victories and territorial conquests of Liu Bang but on the ability to maintain a stable and unified court. Her relationship with Liu Bang, though strained at times by the presence of other concubines and the complications of court politics, was still based on a deep sense of mutual respect. Liu Bang, despite his many faults, recognized Lü Zhi's importance in his life and in the success of the Han Dynasty. His reliance on her grew as he became more embroiled in the complexities of ruling a vast empire. While Liu Bang was not always the most attentive husband, he trusted Lü Zhi implicitly, especially in matters of statecraft and governance. As the years passed, Lü Zhi's power in the court continued to grow. She skillfully maneuvered through the intricacies of palace life, ensuring that her son Liu Ying was firmly established as the heir. Lü Zhi also made sure that the Han Dynasty's political structure remained stable. Despite the shifting allegiances and power plays of other factions within the court, her ability to maintain control over the palace, even as new challenges emerged, solidified her role as the true power behind the throne. Lü Zhi's political skills were not just confined to the imperial court. Her ability to navigate the various factions within the military and the bureaucracy allowed her to maintain control over the Han Dynasty's vast territories. She ensured that Liu Bang's reforms continued to be implemented. Even as the political landscape of China shifted, her influence in the empire was undeniable, and she became one of the most powerful women in Chinese history. Yet, despite all her accomplishments and her vital role in the success of the Han Dynasty, Lü Zhi's life was marked by personal sacrifice. She had put the future of her family and the stability of the empire above her own happiness. And while she had achieved immense political power, she had also endured deep personal challenges. Her loyalty to Liu Bang and her unwavering commitment to the Han Dynasty were what ultimately defined her legacy. She was not just the wife of an emperor, she was the architect of the Han Dynasty's political and cultural strength. A woman whose influence would be felt for generations to come. By the time Liu Bang had firmly secured his position as emperor of the Han, the empire had begun to stabilize. But the power struggles within the imperial court and among the noble families continued to pose a significant threat. Lü Zhi, the empress, had cemented her place as the foremost power in the court, not only as the wife of the emperor but as a shrewd and skilled political figure in her own right. Yet, despite her towering influence, Lü Zhi faced a constant battle to secure her family's position and ensure that her son, Liu Ying, would inherit the throne. The early years of the Han Dynasty were marked by turbulence. While the external threats to the empire were gradually neutralized and Liu Bang's rule appeared secure, the court was far from stable. The factionalism that had plagued the Qin dynasty had not disappeared with the fall of that regime. Instead, it had merely found new expressions in the Han court. There were rivalries not only between powerful families and military commanders but also within the royal household itself. Lü Zhi's greatest concern during this period was her son, Liu Ying, and ensuring that he would inherit the throne. Though Liu Ying was the eldest son of Liu Bang and Lü Zhi, his path to the throne was far from guaranteed. Liu Bang had many other sons, and as emperor, he had the power to choose which of them would succeed him. Lü Zhi knew that the court was filled with powerful factions, each with their own ambitions, and she needed to act quickly to secure Liu Ying's position. The influence of the other consorts and their sons was an ever-present challenge. One of the most dangerous rivals was Lady Qi, a consort who had borne Liu Bang's second son, Liu Ruyi. Lady Qi was ambitious, and her son's claim to the throne made her a powerful figure in the palace. While Liu Zhi had always been the primary consort, she was not the only woman in Liu Bang's life, and this posed a constant challenge to her authority. Liu Zhi had to contend not only with the loyalty of the generals and bureaucrats but also with the ambitions of those who sought to elevate their own children. Liu Zhi's political instincts came to the forefront as she navigated this power struggle. She knew that the key to consolidating power within her family was not just winning the favor of Liu Bang, but also ensuring the loyalty of the court officials and military leaders. She made alliances with key figures, ensuring that Liu Ying's position as the heir was reinforced. This political game was delicate and complex, involving manipulation, persuasion, and careful positioning within the court. Liu Zhi was determined to do whatever it took to ensure her son would succeed his father. Despite her brilliance, Liu Zhi's position was never entirely secure. The court was full of ambitious individuals, and as her son's position became stronger, those who stood in the way of Liu Ying's succession began to view Liu Zhi as a threat. In a move to strengthen her family's position, Liu Zhi began to distance herself from potential rivals within the court. She carefully positioned her allies in key governmental and military positions, ensuring that her influence remained strong. However, Liu Zhi's power was not without its costs. The constant maneuvering and political scheming weighed heavily on her, and she found herself at odds with many who saw her rise as a threat to their own ambitions. The challenges of ruling an empire were many, and the burden of ensuring her family's future in the face of so much intrigue and division was an exhausting one. Yet, despite the strain, Liu Zhi maintained control over the court and continued to ensure that her family's interests were protected. Her handling of the power struggle within the court was a testament to her political prowess. In many ways, she had become the true ruler behind the throne. While Liu Bang was the face of the empire, it was Liu Zhi who managed the inner workings of the court, skillfully playing the political game and keeping the peace among the various factions. She navigated the tensions between the military leaders, the nobles, and the members of the imperial family with incredible finesse, and her influence was felt at every level of the Han Dynasty. One of the most significant moments in Liu Zhi's quest to secure her son's position came when Liu Ruyi, the son of Lady Qi, was officially declared a rival for the throne. The tension between the two factions reached a breaking point. The court, which had once been relatively unified under Liu Bang's leadership, now found itself deeply divided. Liu Bang, who had initially supported his many sons equally, had to confront the reality that his own household was becoming a battlefield. The conflict between Liu Zhi's supporters and those backing Lady Qi's son threatened to tear apart the empire they had so carefully built. In this period of uncertainty, Liu Zhi's leadership was critical. She worked tirelessly to ensure that her son Liu Ying was seen as the legitimate heir, and she did not hesitate to make difficult decisions to preserve his claim. At one point, she ordered the removal of several key supporters of Lady Qi's faction from influential positions, solidifying her son's position and sending a clear message to the court that she would not tolerate any challenge to Liu Ying's right to the throne. Despite her strategic brilliance, Liu Zhi's position as Empress was tested like never before. The conflict between the two factions was only one of the challenges she faced. Another significant problem arose within the imperial family itself. Liu Bang's health began to deteriorate, and as his condition worsened, Liu Zhi found herself grappling with the reality of his mortality. The prospect of Liu Bang's death and the succession struggle it would spark weighed heavily on her, and she worked even harder to ensure that Liu Ying would be accepted as the next emperor. At the same time, Lü Zhi faced opposition from other members of the imperial family, particularly those who had supported Liu Rui's claim. These figures did not see Liu Ying as the rightful heir, and their dissent created divisions within the court. Lü Zhi's political genius was once again put to the test as she sought to neutralize the opposition and secure her son's future. She knew that, as Empress, her own personal safety was also at risk if the succession was not settled in Liu Ying's favor. The situation became more precarious as Liu Bang's death approached. Lü Zhi's political maneuvering reached its peak during this time, and every decision she made had far-reaching consequences for the future of the Han Dynasty. The stakes were higher than ever, and Lü Zhi was determined to see her family remain in power, no matter the cost. As Liu Bang's health declined further, Lü Zhi's role in the court grew even more prominent. She took on more responsibility for governing the empire, ensuring that the policies and reforms that had been established continued to be implemented. Even as she dealt with the personal pain of watching her husband's health fail, she remained focused on securing the future of the Han Dynasty. Her leadership during this period ensured that the empire would remain stable despite the growing tension and uncertainty. The inevitable day finally arrived. Liu Bang, the first emperor of the Han Dynasty, passed away after a prolonged illness. His death marked a profound turning point in Chinese history, not only for the empire he had built but also for Lü Zhi, who had been by his side through every battle, every triumph, and every challenge. Now, with the death of her husband, Lü Zhi faced a new set of trials, ones that would demand all the political cunning and strength she had developed over the years. When Liu Bang passed, it was not just the end of an era, but the beginning of a new phase in Lü Zhi's life. Though Liu Bang had solidified his legacy as the emperor of the Han, his death left the empire vulnerable. The question of succession, a delicate and often dangerous matter, now loomed larger than ever. Lü Zhi knew that her son, Liu Ying, was the rightful heir, but the court, filled with rival factions and ambitious individuals, was far from unified in its support. Many in the palace and the military still harbored their own ambitions for the throne, and Lü Zhi was acutely aware that she would need to fight, politically and personally, to ensure her son's ascension. As Dowager Empress, Lü Zhi had full control over the imperial court while her son was still too young to govern independently. Liu Ying, although Liu Bang's designated heir, was not yet of the age or experience to manage the complexities of an empire as vast and complicated as the Han. This gave Lü Zhi a unique, though precarious, position of power. The court, aware of her formidable political acumen, deferred to her leadership, knowing that she had the ability to maintain stability until Liu Ying could assume full power. Despite her position, Lü Zhi faced immediate challenges. The court was still filled with those loyal to her late husband, but it was also rife with dissent. Other factions within the imperial family, particularly those who had once supported Liu Rui, Liu Bang's second son, saw this as an opportunity to reassert their influence. These factions had always been a thorn in Lü Zhi's side, and now, with Liu Bang gone, they saw the moment as ripe for challenging Liu Ying's rule. But Lü Zhi, ever the political strategist, wasted no time in consolidating her power. She moved swiftly to eliminate rivals who might threaten her son's reign. Key members of the court who had been loyal to Liu Rui were removed from positions of influence, and new alliances were forged with military leaders and officials who were sympathetic to Liu Ying's claim. Lü Zhi knew that her son would need strong support from the military, as well as from the bureaucracy, to ensure that the dynasty remained stable and unchallenged. Lü Zhi's reign as Dowager Empress, however, was not purely focused on the internal power struggles of the court. She also had to maintain the image of the Han Dynasty as a strong and legitimate empire. The death of Liu Bang, the founding emperor, left a vacuum in the hearts and minds of the people. Lü Zhi worked to reassure the people that the dynasty would continue. Focusing on maintaining peace and stability across the empire, she ensured that the army remained loyal, using her political influence to reinforce the Han Dynasty's position as the unifying force in China. In public, Lü Zhi portrayed herself as a benevolent ruler, a mother who would protect and guide her son as he grew into his role as emperor. She emphasized the importance of unity and the continuation of Liu Bang's legacy, speaking of her late husband as the hero who had unified China after years of chaos. This carefully crafted narrative helped to maintain the legitimacy of the Han Dynasty, ensuring that the empire remained strong in the eyes of both the nobility and the common people. Privately, Lü Zhi knew the reality of her position. She was not just a mother guiding her son, she was the de facto ruler of China. Every decision, every move she made, carried immense weight. As the Dowager Empress, Lü Zhi wielded power unlike any other woman in Chinese history. Her influence in the court was unmatched, and her control over the Han Dynasty's political direction ensured that Liu Ying's reign would begin with stability. Yet, despite her incredible strength, Lü Zhi's position was not without its complications. She still had to navigate the complex and often treacherous relationships within the imperial family. The faction that had once supported Liu Ruyi, despite being removed from positions of power, still sought to undermine Liu Ying's rule. Lü Zhi's leadership was constantly under scrutiny, and she faced ongoing challenges from those who sought to weaken her family's hold on the throne. One of the most significant challenges came from within her own household. Lü Zhi's own sons, though loyal to her in public, began to vie for power as they grew older. The prospect of succession loomed large, and Lü Zhi found herself once again caught between her desire to ensure the legacy of her family and the competing ambitions of her children. Liu Ying, though the rightful heir, was still a young and inexperienced ruler. Lü Zhi's other sons, particularly Liu Ruyi and Liu Bang's sons from his other consorts, began to make moves to challenge Liu Ying's authority, each hoping to secure their place on the throne. Lü Zhi's ability to navigate these internal family rivalries would determine the future of the Han Dynasty. She continued to exert her influence, using her experience to guide Liu Ying as he grew into the role of emperor. Her guidance ensured that Liu Ying would eventually assume the throne with the strength and support needed to rule effectively. However, the challenges she faced were not over. As the political intrigue of the court and the ambitions of other factions continued to threaten the stability of the dynasty, Lü Zhi's reign as Dowager Empress marked a pivotal moment in the history of the Han Dynasty. While Liu Ying eventually succeeded his father, it was Lü Zhi who held the reins of power for the crucial years during his youth. Her leadership, both public and private, helped ensure the stability of the empire during a time of uncertainty. She steered the court through a turbulent period, eliminating threats to her son's reign and solidifying her family's control over the empire. Though her role as Dowager Empress was marked by political struggles, family rivalries, and court intrigue, Lü Zhi's legacy endured. She had not only helped establish the Han Dynasty but had also ensured its continuation after Liu Bang's death. Her strength, intelligence, and political skill made her one of the most influential figures in Chinese history. And her leadership ensured that the Han Dynasty would thrive for generations to come. Lü Zhi's reign as Dowager Empress was one of political mastery, with power and influence unlike any other woman in the history of China. She had navigated the intricacies of the imperial court, maneuvered through treacherous factionalism, and ensured the continuation of the Han Dynasty after Liu Bang's death. But even the most skilled rulers must eventually face the consequences of their actions. As Lü Zhi's reign wore on, the political landscape began to shift, and her once unchallenged power slowly began to erode. By the time Lü Zhi's health began to decline, the once cohesive political environment that had existed under Liu Bang was splintering. The Han Dynasty, still a young empire, was plagued by internal divisions and rivalries that threatened to undo the stability Lü Zhi had worked so hard to preserve. While Liu Ying had been solidified as emperor, the seeds of discord had been sown, and Lü Zhi's political rivals began to take advantage of her weakening position. At the heart of Lü Zhi's decline was her family's growing internal conflict. Lü Zhi had worked tirelessly to secure her son Liu Ying's position as emperor. But as he matured, the power struggles within the imperial family became more pronounced. Liu Ying, while competent and well-meaning, lacked the strong will and decisive leadership of his father. His hesitation and inability to assert himself effectively within the court left him vulnerable to manipulation and the ambitions of others. Lü Zhi, despite her power, could not control the dynamics of the imperial family indefinitely. Lü Zhi's other sons, particularly from her own line, began to assert their ambitions for power. The Han Dynasty had been founded on the premise of familial loyalty and unity. But the reality of imperial succession was far more complicated. Lü Zhi's strong-willed nature had once held the family together. But as her health faltered and her influence waned, cracks began to appear in the royal house. Rival factions within the family, many of whom were fiercely loyal to their respective mothers or wives, began to challenge each other for power. Liu Ying's reign, while officially unchallenged, was increasingly undermined by the ambitions of his younger brothers. One of the most significant challenges to Lü Zhi's power came from her own children. Liu Ying's younger brothers, most notably Lü Zhi, began to show open signs of ambition. The rivalry between Lü Zhi's children escalated into an open power struggle as the question of succession remained unresolved. Lü Zhi, despite his youth, was seen by some as a stronger candidate for the throne. His supporters, including powerful officials within the court, began to rally around him, seeking to secure his place as the next emperor of the Han Dynasty. Lü Zhi had always been careful to protect her son's reign, but now, she found herself fighting not just for the future of the dynasty but for her family's legacy. With her declining health, Lü Zhi became more vulnerable to the political machinations of those around her. As Empress Dowager, she had once held the reins of power. But now, she faced the painful reality that her time at the helm of the empire was coming to an end. Her family was fracturing, and the empire she had fought so hard to stabilize was beginning to experience internal strife. As Lü Zhi's influence in the court began to diminish, the factions she had carefully built began to weaken. Those who had once been her most trusted allies began to turn against her, sensing an opportunity for power in the absence of her strong leadership. The growing rivalry between her sons and the factions within the court meant that Lü Zhi could no longer maintain the delicate balance of power she had once so expertly managed. As Empress Dowager, she had built a strong foundation for her family's reign, but that foundation was slowly eroding as the political dynamics shifted. The tension came to a head when Lü Zhi's health finally began to fail her completely. Her final years were marked by a growing sense of desperation as she fought to secure her son's place on the throne. Despite her failing health, Lü Zhi remained active in the court, directing her supporters to ensure that her vision for the future of the Han Dynasty would not be derailed. But her enemies were already at work. Those who had long resented her political dominance began to circle, ready to take advantage of the power vacuum that would be left in her wake. In the final years of her life, Lü Zhi was forced to contend with the reality that her time in power was coming to a close. Her health deteriorated rapidly, and as she weakened, the factions that had long awaited her decline began to assert themselves more openly. Liu Ying, while still emperor, became increasingly isolated as the political landscape shifted away from his favor. Lü Zhi's once unshakable influence over the court had begun to crumble. And in the vacuum left by her diminishing power, the future of the Han Dynasty became uncertain. As Lü Zhi passed away, the empire she had worked so hard to build and protect began to experience the consequences of her decline. The political unity she had fought for had fractured, and Liu Ying's reign, though officially secure, became marked by internal instability. Lü Zhi's death did not end the struggles within the royal family or the court. But it marked the end of an era in which she had been the quiet but powerful force behind the throne. Lü Zhi's legacy, though filled with political triumphs, was also tainted by the internal struggles that followed her death. While she had successfully secured the Han Dynasty's survival in its early years, the political divisions within her own family, combined with the ambitions of rival factions, led to a period of instability. Liu Ying's inability to assert control over the court and the growing power of the nobility meant that the Han Dynasty was now forced to contend with a new set of challenges. Lü Zhi's death, though it marked the end of her direct influence, left a deep imprint on the course of the Han Dynasty's history. Despite the eventual fragmentation of the royal family, Lü Zhi's role in the establishment of the Han Dynasty and her stewardship during its formative years could not be denied. She had guided the Han through a tumultuous period, from rebellion to empire, and had ensured that her family remained in power. Her political genius, her strength in the face of adversity, and her determination to secure her son's reign made her one of the most formidable figures in Chinese history. though the empire she had helped build would go on to face challenges. Lü Zhi's contributions would be remembered, not just as the mother of an emperor, but as a ruler in her own right, one whose influence shaped the destiny of the Han Dynasty for generations. Lü Zhi's death marked the end of a chapter in the history of the Han Dynasty. Yet, her legacy, like the empire itself, would continue to be felt long after her passing. The empire she helped establish would endure for centuries, and though she would not live to see it, her role in shaping the foundation of the Han Dynasty would be forever etched in history. The years following Lü Zhi's death were filled with political upheaval, but her influence on the Han Dynasty would endure far beyond her time. The empire she helped to establish and stabilize, despite the challenges that arose after her passing, continued to flourish for centuries. Lü Zhi's contributions to the Han Dynasty were monumental, even if the full extent of her role was often overshadowed by the more visible figures of her time. After her death, Liu Yang, now emperor, struggled to assert control over the factions within the imperial court. Lü Zhi's absence left a significant vacuum. The alliances she had built through years of political savvy began to unravel, and her son found himself caught in the complex web of palace politics. However, despite the difficulties, the Han Dynasty endured, and Liu Yang, though not the most powerful ruler, kept the empire intact through the legacy of stability his mother had created. It was in the decades that followed Lü Zhi's passing that the full scope of her impact on the Han Dynasty became clearer. Her reforms, both political and economic, had laid the groundwork for the long-term success of the dynasty. The administrative systems she helped establish continued to be the backbone of governance throughout the empire. And the decentralization policies she had implemented allowed local leaders to flourish, helping maintain stability in times of unrest. Lü Zhi's strength, political acumen, and strategic mind had been the foundation upon which the Han Dynasty was built. It was her ability to manage the political factions, to deal with rivalries both within her family and outside, that ensured her family remained in power. And while her death had opened the door to a period of internal strife, it was also a natural part of the dynastic cycle. The Han Dynasty would eventually emerge from these challenges, with later emperors drawing on the systems and structures Lü Zhi had put in place. Though her son Liu Ying's reign was often marked by internal struggles, it was her legacy that held the empire together. The Han Dynasty experienced decades of relative peace and prosperity, which, despite later challenges, would become the golden age of China. The accomplishments of the Han Dynasty would go on to define China for centuries, and Lü Zhi's role in that legacy would never be forgotten. Over time, as history looked back on the early days of the Han Dynasty, Lü Zhi was remembered not just as the wife of Liu Bang, not just as the mother of an emperor, but as one of the most powerful and capable rulers in Chinese history. She was a woman who had taken on the mantle of leadership when the empire was still young, guiding it through turbulent times with intelligence, wisdom, and unwavering loyalty to her family and the dynasty. Her actions laid the foundation for the long-lasting reign of the Han Dynasty, which would go on to dominate China for over 4 centuries. Lü Zhi's death marked the end of an era, but her legacy lived on in the policies she implemented, the alliances she forged, and the empire she helped to secure. The Han Dynasty she helped build would continue to be a beacon of stability in the ancient world, and the impact of her leadership would ripple through the centuries. As time passed, Lü Zhi's role as the true architect behind the rise of the Han Dynasty was acknowledged, and she became a symbol of political strength, determination, and a reminder of the incredible influence a woman could have on the fate of a nation. As the centuries passed and the history of the Han Dynasty was written, Lü Zhi's name, though not as widely known as that of Liu Bang or other figures in the dynasty, was etched in the annals of Chinese history. Her story was passed down through generations, not just as a tale of personal sacrifice and political brilliance, but as a testament to the quiet power of a woman who shaped the course of an empire. Though her reign was not one of overt rule, her behind-the-scenes leadership ensured that the Han Dynasty would survive and thrive, leaving a legacy that outlasted even her own lifetime. In the end, Lü Zhi was remembered not for the grandeur of her title, but for the lasting impact of her actions. She had navigated the treacherous waters of court politics, managed the complexities of familial loyalty, and built an empire that would last for centuries. Her legacy was not one of luxury or grandeur, but of strength, wisdom, and the tireless work of a mother who saw the future of her family and her nation as worth any personal sacrifice. And thus, the story of Lü Zhi, Empress of the Han, the mother who held the empire together, the political genius behind the throne, became a legend. A woman who had shaped the future of China through her cunning and determination, leaving an indelible mark on the history of the Han Dynasty.